Hello, I'm Carl Reschke from the Florida Bureau of Insurance Fraud, and you're watching Tampa Bay Community Network.
Hi, I am Bill Hodges, and this is Spotlight on Government. Today we've got a great guest, and I think you need to watch it very carefully because he's going to share with you a lot of valuable information that may get you out of trouble someday. The guest today is Carl Reschke, who is a lieutenant with the Bureau of Insurance Fraud, Department of Financial Services, Division of Investigative and Forensic Services for the state of Florida. Whew!
Yes, sir, it's quite the title.
Fortunately, you don't have to put that all in your little space.
No, I don't.
It's so good to have you here.
It's good to be here.
I met you first at a sheriff's meeting they had out in Sun City Center.
That's correct.
And you gave some really good thoughts and some good ideas out there. And I said, hey, could you come on the show? We finally got all the supervisors' approvals and everything. With the state, you've got to make sure everybody approves.
That's true.
And Fed's the same way. You have to let the PIO officer know what's happening or they don't get their job done right, and I understand that.
That's correct.
Carl, tell us a little bit about just a thumbnail of what it is your office does.
Well, the Bureau of Insurance Fraud, I am the supervisor of squatted detectives. We are a state law enforcement agency located in St. Petersburg. We cover 10 counties from Hernando south to Sarasota, and we investigate a series of referrals made to us by the multitude of insurance companies in the state of Florida. We investigate workers' compensation fraud, workers' contractor fraud, PIP fraud, and general health care and homeowners fraud.
So you actually get referrals from the insurance companies?
Yes, sir. The bulk of our work comes from the special investigation units from your insurance carriers.
Who feel that something's gone wrong in the claim?
Correct. They investigate the claim process, and if there's a matter of suspected fraud, they make a referral to our division online. And then it gets disseminated to the various squads across the state.
Is a majority of this fraud contractor fraud, or is it user fraud, the actual?
Well, the majority, Bill, happens to deal with auto fraud, whether it's stage accidents or medical providers.
Oh.
But it's
another area.
Correct. That is another area. But we have our fair share of contractor fraud, workers' compensation fraud. It keeps us busy. There's no lack of downtime for us.
Let's talk about some of the things that can happen that you'll go out and talk about. I think certainly auto fraud is a big one.
That's correct. During the claim process, there may be jump-ins that they refer to, people that are all of a sudden claiming some injury and they may not even be in the car at that time. It's unique. Then there's...
My husband had an accident and I feel bad, so I'm going to put my stuff in. And I wasn't there, but I feel bad anyway.
That's correct. And then during that claim process, the car owner sees that there's several people that were in the vehicle, and it may have only been a single occupant. There's the medical insurance, possible billing for services not rendered by the chiropractors or other physicians or other medical providers.
So if I happen to be in an accident and it's quote unquote my fault,
okay,
my insurance company goes to take care of things, I should be really careful to let my insurance company know as much as they can about what happened, right?
Oh, that's correct. Yeah.
How many people were in the car?
I
don't remember being asked that question.
Make notes, and obviously in today's world with all the different phones, take some photographs. Not all the time will the local police agencies send out an officer for
More
a minor.
often than not on a minor thing.
For a minor thing, more often than not, maybe it's just a rear end collision. You don't think anything of it, and then in the next process, maybe the vehicle that you struck, those parties are treating with various physicians, or you're being a defendant in some litigation. It's a process.
You know, I guess many of us think, okay, it was my fault. I'll let the insurance company handle it. But really, the rates go up if things aren't handled properly. So we should keep our hand in it long enough to make sure that the claim is really true.
That's correct.
But that would go with everything, right? All these different kinds of claims?
With everything. Across the United States, approximately $80 billion in fraud occurs every year.
Wow.
Our office, or the state offices, we handle more referrals than I can assign cases to. So I have to triage. We work with the state attorneys regarding prosecution of cases. It's a process.
When you say that many $1 billion, all of that somewhere goes into the insurance pool, which we all end up paying.
That's correct. The fraud affects all of our rates, whether it's auto or homeowners.
Let's say that let's use water mitigation as an example. My plumbing broke, and I call and have somebody come out, and they say, sign this form and you don't have to get involved. What is that form?
Oh, that form is, in the industry, is called an assignment of benefits. And what that form does is basically allow the contractor to step into the shoes of the insured. In this case, it would be you.
Okay.
That allows the contractor almost exclusive rights in which to deal with your insurance carrier. Now,
Assignment of benefits?
This assignment of benefits form.
By the way, that term, I don't want to lose this, but that term goes back a long time to medical care, if I remember right.
I believe it was, it came out of that healthcare profession.
So they want me to sign this form, and I say, okay, hey, I'll sign the form, you get what you can from the insurance company, and I walk away from it.
I wouldn't recommend signing the form.
Okay.
Well,
I'm thinking, gee, it's easy on me. I don't have to argue with the insurance company. They're going to do it for me.
That's true, and that's what most contractors who have you sign this AOB will lead you to believe. However, even before you get involved in the contracting and locating someone that you're going to call to come in and fix the specific issue, there's licensing checks, insurance checks you need to do to make sure that the people that come into your house are covered by workers' compensation insurance.
How do I do that? I mean, I've got water all over my house.
Correct.
My carpets are getting smelly. I need to get this thing fixed.
Well,
I'm 80 years old, and what do I do?
Well, you start by notifying your insurance company.
Okay.
They will aid you in making your home back in a livable condition.
So I should go to my agent first.
I'd say the big carrier. It doesn't hurt to contact your agent. However, if the offices are closed, now you're left with maybe calling a toll-free number at 7 o'clock
So
on a Saturday night.
Get on the phone with that 24 we'll answer it number.
Correct.
Tell them what's gone on.
Right. And get the matter taken care of. If you have an active plumbing leak, you have to get it stopped. And whether it's a local plumber that you've dealt with, and someone that can come in and stop the water, clean up the water, and work the process of making your residence livable again. The remodeling
That's the guy
process.
I don't know who I have. Many of these people haven't used a plumber in years. They have no idea who to call to come in and do this. I mean, we all should know how to turn off the water at our house.
Correct.
I mean, that should be a reasonable standard for everyone. Where is the turnoff valve?
Not only the turn-off valve there, or say the turn-off valve under the sink or behind the toilet,
True.
anything that'll cease the water flow.
And by the way, those should be turned on and off at least twice a year.
To make sure that they're functional. Yes, as a
Daylight
homeowner,
savings time, when it comes and goes, is a good time to do that.
that's true. You don't want
They
to.
don't necessarily have to be functional. They're there, but they corrode over a period of time of not being used.
Correct. You want to make sure they're functional when you need them.
So I've got the water stopped, but my carpet is full of scrutch as I walk through it. Now, is that when I call the insurance company?
Well, you can start with the insurance company, but you also, as a homeowner, you also want to feel comfortable in making your home the way it was pre-water issue. I'd ask you to refer to the advice of your agent and your policy as to what is allowed for you in which to start the process. But there are water extraction companies out there that'll come in and they'll do a dry out. They'll bring in these big fans, dehumidifiers, vacuum up the
But
water.
how do I know they're legitimate? You made the comment earlier, Carl, that I should check and see they have this, 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 and this. How do I know that? I'm 85. I've got a house, and I'm worried. How is there somewhere I can go to check? And is the insurance company, I guess, what I'm saying, the place to go and ask, who do you prefer in this area? Or is there somewhere that this person can get that kind of information?
Well, you'd like to see that the company that you're bringing in to help you is reputable, that they're licensed. And you can go to the My Florida License, which is a division of the Department of Business and Professional Regulation. You can do a search via the contractor's name or via the name of the company.
See if they have any complaints or
Correct.
anything?
Complaints would be listed there. Make a call to your Better Business Bureau to see if they've had any issues. And it also helps, you can do a Google search, as simple as what that sounds, to put in a company. And if there are any negative reviews, and even any review for that matter, you'll be able to read what others have said about the company.
So once I do that and I bring them in, but I shouldn't sign the form that's an assignment of benefits.
The assignment of benefits form has been held at times to be a valid form to use. As you've said, sometimes the 80 or 85-year-old person doesn't want to deal with the headache and or the heartache of having to go through the claim process. But there's also abuses that are within that AOB system. You hope that you find the contractor that's going to represent you in your needs.
So it's kind of a crapshoot at first.
A little bit, I would
And
say.
if it wasn't, we wouldn't need you.
That's correct.
Because there are a lot of people out there that are just not ethical.
That's true. I can share with you horror stories of where an assignment of benefits form has been signed. The homeowner doesn't have, wasn't made a part of the claim process, and really doesn't know what their insurance carrier has paid for.
Now, let's go back to, I got up in the morning, I've got water all over the floor. Step one, what would I do?
Well,
Turn the water off.
Turn the water off.
Okay.
Right.
Step two,
If it's a normal process, I reach out to the carrier and get some advice. But I would.
because they may have preferred people to come out, correct?
That's true. Someone that they may trust in which to do the job that they're going to be paid to do. Maybe someone that won't, we'll say, gouge them on the repair. And then it starts. You got to get the water cleaned up, your house dried out. You want to prevent any further damaging.
And you have a duty to get it started
Correct.
in order for your insurance company not to say, well, you let it set too long, whatever.
In my opinion, as soon as you can get your insurance carrier in, the better off it is. There have been some abuses, as we mentioned before, where what we call the first notification of loss isn't filed with the insurance company until 2 months after the incident. So your residence that was wet and soggy is under renovation. The carpets are pulled up, the hardwood floors are pulled up, maybe your kitchen cabinets are removed, and then whatever, because you may have completed this assignment of benefits, then that company notifies your carrier that they're in your house to fix it. Insurance companies like to know what they're paying for.
Right.
In this.
No adjuster's seen it for 2 months.
Correct.
And all of the damage has been pulled out.
All the damage has been pulled out. Maybe even more damage has been created. Maybe a floor was removed by a contractor, that didn't need to be removed. So it's a process to work between the adjuster who represents you and we'll say the carrier to work through the process.
Okay, now if someone gets to this point, and there's probably all kind of a roof, all kind of different things that are not water mitigation, but rather a roof isn't holding up the way it ought to be.
True, especially in the Tampa Bay area here. We had Hurricane Irma. We just had the subtropical storm that went through. These events, as we'll call them, are documented by the National Weather Service. There are roofing companies that will go door to door and solicit the homeowner and explaining to them that from the middle of the street that they can see that they've have roof damage.
Damage, yeah.
Whether it's hail.
Without ever getting up on it.
Without ever getting up on the roof. And then they start the same process, assignment of benefits, and then the claim process along the same lines, and it could be rife for abuses.
Now, I have this, and I'm beginning to think the contractor isn't treating me right, that there's a problem here. How do I do next? Do I go directly to you, or do I go to other agencies?
Well, I would work with your insurance carrier because they have adjusters. They have in-house people that will, work with you. If you feel that the contractor has not fulfilled the work that he said he was going to do, specifically, as we refer to it, maybe it's for billing for services not rendered. The contractor, and there's a lot of great contractors out there. I only see the ones that have, that will say not so great.
Does give you a jaundiced view, because that's the ones you're dealing with.
That's true. Yes, exactly, because we deal with the fraud aspect. But if the contractor has submitted documents to your insurance carrier that he did A, B, C, and D, and then it's been determined the countertop wasn't replaced, or the type of flooring, or the lighting, or the electrical. That's, as I referred to, as a billing for services not rendered, and that's basically a theft, and that's a felony against your insurance carrier.
What if I'm worried that if I turn this guy in to the insurance company, that the insurance company is going to say, no, we're not paying that, you're on the hook for it?
Well, that's between you and the carrier. I've worked in the Tampa Bay area with great insurance companies that have been the advocate for their insured and have successfully stood up to contractors because they didn't do the work. They had overpriced the work, but at times, you really need to be involved in the claim process.
Contractors are like everybody else. They come in all grades and kinds. Mm-hmm. And I think it's really important to do what you said earlier, to check them.
Correct. The Better Business Bureau, we work with many other sister agencies to determine I can't talk about quality of their work, but just the fact that the recommendations are good, there's no complaints, and the fact is that they're licensed and possess workers' compensation insurance, because you don't want to bring a contractor into your home to do work, because if they sustain an injury, the homeowner, is that TV commercial that we see that airs now, you could be on the hook for a civil litigation.
Right. Now, once you get it, what do you do?
We work with the SIU, the Special Investigation Units of the insurance companies. They provide us the claim documents, which would include your policy, the information that the contractor would forward to them, the copies of the checks, where'd the money go, which is important for us.
Yeah, I have a friend in that situation right now. We won't mention who it is or where they are, but you're aware of it.
I am aware of it. And where did the money go? So we're attempting to build all that. We interview the witnesses to determine the scope of the work performed versus what they got paid for. And then when we develop probable cause.
That can assume you go out to the facility, videotape, do various things.
Correct.
And interview everybody involved.
That's correct. The insurance company, they may have gone out and taken photographs, which for us is evidence. The information that has been provided, from the adjuster and through the process is evidence that we gather. We'll interview the suspect. We've arrested contractors on site, and
So you do have police powers?
We're a state law enforcement agency.
Oh, okay.
That's,
I saw you wearing a little badge there.
Yeah. Yes, we badge, handcuffs.
You talked about turning it over to the prosecutors.
We work with the prosecutors. We deal with a multitude of jurisdictions here. We'll make probable cause arrests. Other cases, if they're complex in nature, maybe the state attorney's office, that particular ADA, wants to review it, understand it, because once we make an arrest, they're on the clock, as we say, for having to commence a prosecution.
Right.
And if
What is
it's
it, 24, 48 hours? They have to do something?
Well, there's the element of, we like to get them our documents within 3 weeks. There's always that notification that someone's been arrested. But we like to keep them informed as to what we're doing. Doesn't always happen, but on the major cases, and our office has worked several of them locally here, we in turn keep them apprised as to what's going on, and so they have an understanding versus just presenting them with a box of documents that could be difficult to wade through. And insurance fraud, there is a lot of paperwork.
Oh, I can imagine that.
Yeah.
You have a number of investigators that work for you.
I have four detectives in my office, but the Tampa Bay region also has 3 other squads that work right down the street off of Fletcher, which consists of an auto fraud squad, a general fraud squad, and a squad that deals with the workers' compensation insurance.
So it's broke up by specialty.
Well, that and by region. We have squads in Pensacola, Jacksonville, Orlando, Miami, Fort Lauderdale. Statewide, there's about 100 detectives that do the same work that I do, and we work with the various agencies that surrounds our area. We've worked hand in hand with the Hillsborough Sheriff's Department, Pinellas, Sarasota, St. Pete PD. So we've made friends in a lot of other offices.
What about people that don't have insurance but have a problem with the contractor?
Well, workers' compensation fraud is a third-degree felony, unless that contractor and his company has what we call as an exemption. This is something that he files with the state to indicate that he has an exemption, and basically, if something happens on the job site, it befalls him or an officer of his company. However, if you employ more than 4 if a contractor employs more than 4, by statute, they have to have
workman's comp.
and that's based upon the volume of the payroll that they have on a yearly
I'm
basis.
thinking about the person who just decides they need to have a new roof put on their house.
Okay.
And the contractor comes out, gives them all these promises, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, give us $2,500 down payment, and then you never see him again.
Well,
Is that one your office would become involved in, or is that one that Hillsborough County would, or do you both?
well, you have the option, but we receive calls that the contractor may have absconded with the insurance premiums if it's an insurance related loss, and we do the workers' compensation. Maybe this singular contractor doesn't even have a business. He just has a form where he wrote his name at the top. Joe Smith Roofing. We get involved in a lot of those different cases.
If people are going to protect themselves, what's the most important things for them to do?
You have to verify the information that you're provided, whether we're talking, as we discussed, a contractor.
Are they a licensed contractor?
Are they licensed? And are they properly insured? Because that's big, properly insured. In going with that contractor. A contractor may do a great job and he puts your roof on and you think everything's good, but make sure you get a lien release from him that he paid his supplier.
Right, because you would end up with a problem there.
That's correct. Next thing you may get notified that there's a $5,000 lien against your
A lot
home.
of people don't understand that. Would you explain that just carefully?
Well, a lien release is something that you obtain from the roofing supplier. When that contractor puts your roof on your house, you usually know where he's getting his supplies from. He'll tell you, one of the local people. You reach out to them and make sure that that roofing company is in fact has been paid.
I don't know. I've had roofs put on before, and I don't think I've ever even thought about contacting his supplier to see that he's paid them.
Well, everybody wants to get paid, and although your insurance premium, your insurance proceeds may have satisfied the roofer, we need to make sure in following up that he in fact paid the supplier, because that supplier delivered it to your home, it's recorded, and the next thing that you know, you're sustaining a lien because he didn't pay the supplier.
Carl Reschke, there are just so many ins and outs. I wonder how any of us get through life without a law degree.
Well, it's I've been with the division for 12 years. It's been eye-opening. It's been different in all these a multitude of investigations that we do. I would like to share with your audience that the CFO Patronus, my big boss, has a 1-800 number. It's 1-800-378-0445. And if your viewers suspect that there's insurance fraud, that's a hotline that they can call and obtain some information and obtain some help.
We'll put that up for sure. Okay. Thank you for being with us today.
I'm glad to be here, Bill.
I'm Bill Hodges. This is Spotlight on Government. Thank you for being with us. You're unique, you're special, and you're great. Tell your so often, because you are and you know. And Carl, thanks for being with us and sharing so many things that maybe keep us out of trouble.
I hope so. I hope so.